Hey guys, I am excited to bring you February's reading wrap-up because, to be honest, pretty much all of February was one big reading slump, and I'm so excited to move into March. And I have a lot of books to go over here, a lot of which are DNFs. I did not finish them, and I'm not sure for a lot of those if it's the book or if it's just me and the mood that I was in. Because I have so many DNFs, I've decided I'm going to actually start at the 5 stars and work my way down and then share my extra large stack there at the end because I'm not sure everyone cares about the did not finishes. Yeah, so I was just in a reading slump. I finally, at the end of the month, gave one book, my first book of the year, 5 stars, with the exception of one book that was a reread that was nonfiction. Kind of doesn't feel like that one quite counts. I did that one in January. But yeah, 1 5-star. And normally I have like a couple a month, and I was struggling this month. There were a lot of like 3-star, 3.5 star. Actually, wait, there's no 3 stars. I have a lot of 3.5 and 4 stars. But yeah, just nothing was like really hitting the reading mark for me this month. But hopefully with March here, we are on to new things. So let's get started with the 5-star. And this is a book that I did not expect to rate 5 stars. And it is not a perfect book. But that book is You Don't Know Me. So I picked this one up because this one fulfilled the, what was the buzzword-a-thon? Pronoun? I think it was pronoun was the prompt for the month. Yeah, okay, so Susan May Warren, she is a Christian, I think normally a romance author. This book is categorized as romance, which makes no sense to me because that's not what it is. It is about a woman who is living in this small town, married. She's been married for like 20 years, has a couple kids, and that's when the book kind of starts. Her husband's running for mayor, and we find out that she's actually in the witness protection program, but she never told her husband, and her officer guy that placed her in the witness protection program comes out to tell her that the guy that she testified against is out and probably looking for her. And so I really don't know where this is a romance. Like, I mean, it talks a little bit about her relationship with her husband, yeah, but that is very poorly categorized. So one of the things I really didn't like is that she went 20 years without telling her husband that she was in the witness protection program, and I'm pretty sure he was an exception. Like, he could know. So I don't like marital secrets like that. And this book probably would have been like a 4-ish star until we got closer to the end, and this is not really a spoiler because it doesn't really have anything to do with it. But her parents know that she's been placed in the witness protection program, but they don't know where she is. They haven't seen her since she went in, etc. And when the main character, whose name is Annalise, is what she goes by, when she phones her mom one time, she phones her and puts herself on mute so her mom can't hear her. I'm like seriously gonna tear up just talking about this, but her mom guesses that it's her. And she just starts like humming and singing Amazing Grace to her. And that just like broke my heart. Like, on the level of being a mother, being a daughter. Yeah. I pretty much feel like whenever a book can make me cry, it's a 5-star book. Unless it's because it's so terrible. But that, and then you find out in the author's note that the prologue of this book is actually about a woman who is flying out to see her daughter, and the person beside her asks like, oh, where are you going? And she's telling her she's going to see her daughter. And I don't think it says it in here, but so it's Annalise's mom going out, and she's telling the woman beside her she's going out to say goodbye to her daughter because her daughter's going into witness protection. But you find out from the author's note that this is pretty much a scene that actually happened to Susan May Warren. One time on a plane, she asked the lady beside her where she was heading to, and she said she was going to say goodbye to her daughter, who I think was 21, because she was going into witness protection, and for various reasons the mom couldn't join her, and that was it. I actually really wish that author's note would have been at the beginning of the book. I know lots of people skip over author's notes, but like that one would have made the book a lot more powerful even. But anyway, I think I've rambled enough about this one, but really well done. It does make me interested to pick up more Susan May Warren. If they're going to be categorizing some of her books as romance that, like, I wouldn't consider this a romance book, then I should check out some more of hers. Okay, I have 2 books from the 4.5 star category, and they're both by the same author. They are Steal Like an Artist and Keep Going by Austin Kleon. So I think he wrote this one first and this one, and then there's another one that I have coming from the library as well. And they're just very short little inspirational books about art, and it has 10 different things on the back. It's like unlock your creativity, and these are like the chapters of the book. Steal like you're an artist, don't wait until you know where you are to get started, write the book you wanted to read, use your hands, etc. And he uses his writing and some of his illustrations throughout. I don't know, I found it inspiring. I was totally, I heard about these books from Amy on one of the videos that she did, and I started following Austin Kleon on Instagram and have been very inspired by his art, even though it's so different than anything that I do, with the exception that apparently his first book was all about blackout poetry, and he does a lot of that and shares quite a bit in his books, and that is something I started doing like about a week before I read his books. So that's cool when those kind of things pop up over and over again, when you're doing something and you see it elsewhere when you're not even looking for it. So I really enjoyed both of these. They were very inspiring, and I'm looking forward to whichever the other book is that I have coming in from the library yet. Okay, now we are on to 4 stars. There is quite a variety here. We've got fiction, we've got nonfiction, we've got all sorts. The first one on my stack here is The Life-Giving Home, Creating a Place of Belonging and Becoming by Sally and Sarah Clarkson. So this is a mother-daughter duo, and this is pretty much a book about the different seasons and how you can create a loving home environment that is welcoming and helps you cherish the people in your home. This was a reread for me once again, and I really enjoyed it. I went through and highlighted stuff, and I plan on kind of perusing each chapter as a new month comes to see if there's different things that I can be doing in my home. Then one book that I talked about in my January wrap-up that I was currently reading is The Chemist by Stephanie Meyer. So I really enjoyed The Host when I read it back in the fall, and so I had high hopes for this one, and I really liked this. So whereas The Host is a YA science fiction book, The Chemist is definitely an adult book. There are some like heavier topics in here that are definitely more adult topics, but it is about a woman who is a chemist that worked for the US government, and for the last few years she's been on the run because they want to kill her because of something she knows, but she doesn't know what it is that she knows that they're trying to kill her for. Like, it's obviously it's a subconscious thing, and a lot of this reminded me of the If I Run series by Terry Blackstock. The whole idea of like having to change your name and personality and trying to fit into different places so that you aren't found. And then I don't know how much more I can say, because now that I read this at the end of January, beginning of February, so I don't remember where things start to happen. Yeah, probably. My thought here is to try to not share things about books that don't happen within the first 50 pages, because I feel like anything after that is a spoiler, which I know lots of people disagree with. Mostly, I don't like to read the backs of books because they have spoilers. So I'll leave it at that. There are definitely some more, like I said before, like adult themes, like bedroom scenes that aren't super explicit, but definitely different than her YA, The Host, I think. Yeah, so I enjoyed this one. And then I read another cult book, pretty much doing one a month unintentionally here. I've got The Liar's Daughter. This is by Megan Cooley Peterson. And once again, this is a time to read an author's note, and I wish the author's note would have been at the beginning, because this author, her family actually got sucked into a cult for a few years when she was like in middle school and high school, and so a lot of her experiences, or what she writes, are based off of her experiences here. And this is about a girl named Piper, who is part of this cult, and it's definitely just one of those ones where they feel like they're above people. They like to, they didn't like to associate with people outside of the world, outside of their little world, you know. Fairly early on in the book, the cult kind of, things happen. Oh my goodness. Not much happens at the beginning. We're kind of getting to know the cult, so I don't want to say too much, but she is I love the subtitle. It says, Piper was raised in a cult, she just doesn't know it. And she is the daughter of the cult leader, and yeah, a really powerful one. This one I feel like could have come straight out of the news. Like it sounds, as you read it, it seems like just like something that you've heard about. So if you're interested in cult books, this one's pretty good. And then we've got my Agatha Christie, Death on the Nile. I almost smacked myself in the face with this. Yeah, so I had fun trying to solve this one in February. I was a little overwhelmed by all the characters. So we follow a rich woman who is on her honeymoon, and I don't know, there's just a lot of characters. So we've got her husband, and then her husband's, what is it, ex-fiance? Yeah, I think they were engaged. Following them around on their honeymoon, and then there's all these other people that have shady business going on. Like, it always makes me wonder when I read mysteries, like how many people really have this many secrets? Like, does everyone around me have these major secrets that they could kill for? Because everyone in Agatha Christie books do. I spent, yeah, a lot of February trying to solve this one. I have a whole video about it, so I won't say anything else. What I've been trying to do lately is attempt to read most of the books I get out from the library. If you guys know, I usually get a stack out from the library, and I don't get to all of them. But what I've been trying to do is read the first chapter or two, see if it catches my attention, and if it doesn't, I put it off for now. And this is one that I thought, I'm gonna try it, it's not gonna catch my attention, and then I can move on to a book I really want to try. And then it totally sucked me in. And that is Finlay Donovan is Killing It. I mean, it's a 4-star. Is that where I am here? Yes, it's a 4-star. So it was good. It wasn't perfect, but the beginning had me cracking up so much. So it's about an author who is having lunch with her, what is it? Not publisher, but one of her people, her agent or something. And someone overhears the conversation, and this author writes a lot of like mystery novels. And the woman overhearing it mistakenly thinks that she is like a hitman. And so she tries to hire her to kill her husband. Like, I'm just trying to like picture this happening in real life. And it just so happens that Finlay is desperate for money, so she goes and follows this husband with no intention of like actually killing him, and things unfold from there. Yeah, I actually really enjoyed this one. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it was surprising and funny, and so I read this one. I do plan on trying the second one because I think that one just came out. This one ends in a pretty big cliffhanger, so I'm kind of curious to see where it goes from there. And then this one was recommended to me by Gloria. She recommended this on my Patreon book club last month, and that is Penguin the Magpie. It's the odd little bird who saved a family. And this is the story about a family who adopted this this magpie that, and like the photographs throughout here are gorgeous because the guy is a photographer. But the magpie had a broken wing and they adopted it. But it just so happens this happened right after an accident that the author's wife was in that left her paraplegic, quadriplegic, I don't remember exactly, paralyzed to some degree. And there's not a lot of words per page, but the words that are there and the pictures that go along with it are very powerful. So if you like, I don't know, heartwarming stories, especially if they have birds in them. Oh my gosh, that one is adorable. Can you even see? We have tons of magpies here. They're pretty, but they're also really annoying and really gross. So I can't imagine like having one in my house, but these pictures kind of made me want one. Yeah, so this is a very fast nonfiction book and I enjoyed it. Okay, 3.5 stars. First one is Northanger Abbey. So I am like cruising through Jane Austen books. I think this is 3 months in a row that I've read one of hers. So this one is not as low as Mansfield Park because that one doesn't even get put on the list. But I think it's my least favorite from what I remember. I still need to reread Pride and Prejudice and Emma, and I enjoyed the one I read last month, Persuasion. I enjoyed that one more. Like I said, we don't even talk about Mansfield Park. I think that one, to me, not worth it. But yeah, so this is about a girl named Catherine that goes to Bath for a season with her aunt and uncle. No, they're not an aunt and uncle. They're like people that live around her that are taking her in because she's from a big family. And she reads a lot of Gothic novels, and that kind of plays into her expectations in life, I think. And I don't know, it was okay. Honestly, when I was reading it, I was like, I feel like I've read this before. And I don't think that I had finished it. I know I've started it before, and I think then I went and watched the movie. But I felt like I knew what was coming next every single step of the way. So either the movie was really well done, or I actually had read this through all the way one time. But yeah, I'm glad I read it. I did a giveaway for one of these Wordsworth collections on Instagram this last month, and I am going to be doing another Wordsworth collection giveaway for March, and that's going to be to my newsletter subscribers. So if you head to my description box, sign up for my newsletter, and then later this month I'm going to talk about how you can possibly win a Wordsworth edition book. Okay, continuing on with the 3.5 stars. Next up is Terry Blackstock's Intervention. I'm a little sad about this. I like Terry Blackstock's writing usually is usually higher than a, what's this? Yeah, 3.5 star. I was hoping this Intervention series was going to be like the If I Run series, because they're both trilogies, and I was just hoping to just devour it. I have the next 2 books. I plan on reading it. I enjoyed it. It just didn't quite suck me in. So this is about, our main character is a woman named Barbara who is sending her daughter to detox, and she has someone, an interventionist, come to her house and then flies out with her daughter. And then the next day, the interventionist is found dead and her daughter has gone missing. And I think I was finally getting into the book at the end, so I feel like maybe the trilogy will go up from here, but I have no idea how this is going to be a trilogy. Because I feel like this was very... It ended pretty well. So like, where are we going from here? I'm not sure. But I'll give the other ones a try. Then we have another classic, The Turn of the Screw, slowly making my way through my list of 50 classics that I want to read. And this one was all right. I wanted to reread it, or read it, because I had read Ruth Ware's The Turn of the Key, and I heard that was kind of loosely based on this. This one's about a young governess who is looking after these children who are like pretty much perfect, but like something creepy is also going on. And the governess can see people that used to be employed there that have died, so there's like ghosts involved, and I just don't normally like the whole ghosts are real thing in books. I like it if there can be a ghost, but it's actually explainable somehow. So it was okay. I'm glad I got another classic checked off my list, which was fairly easy because this one's pretty short. This is the book that totally got me out of my reading slump. I was talking about it this month for my Patreon book club, and that is The Bookshop on the Corner. This one was recommended to me by Emily, who's a subscriber, and like the first half of the book, I gave it 5 stars for the first half, and then not so much afterwards. So it's about a woman, like seriously, oh, her name is Nina. I'm so bad with character names. And you'd think I would like actually didn't even read the book sometimes. Yeah, so Nina is a librarian. She's getting laid off. All the librarians are getting laid off. No library jobs. So she decides to buy this van that's out in Scotland, and she's in in England somewhere. She decides to buy this van and turn it into a mobile bookshop, which part of the reason I was loving this was because friends of ours are starting a game store here locally, and Jared and I just keep talking about how we would love to run a bookstore, but like kind of, but not really. But so I got to like live vicariously through her, and I really enjoyed the writing for the first half. Our character was so witty, and the writing itself was witty. Like we were talking, like it talked about the day that Nina got fired in one of the very first pages, and how the lady who fired her, okay, where did it say then? Okay, Nina says, some people just don't have a tear in them. Like she was obviously very not compassionate. And then we have 2 full paragraphs in brackets about how the person that actually fired her cried on the way to work and on the way home from work, and all these other days and all this, and we like get a little look into this other character that doesn't really have anything else to do with the book. But then also, before the book even starts, we get a message to the readers, and it's all about different places that she likes to read and just some of her wit here. She talks about reading in bed. The only problem with bed reading is its brevity. 2 or 3 pages and you're out like a light. If it's been a particularly long day, you may swim in and out a little bit before you actually doze off. And then you'll pick up the book the next evening thinking, was there a pink unicorn running through an examination hall while I chased after it in my pajamas in this book? And I will have to say to you, no, there is nothing like that in this book. You were nodding off, and I'm afraid you have to go back a couple pages. So I loved that. And then there was another one about book clubs. She calls it a book group. If you're reading this for a book group, I can only apologize and assume it's 2:15 a.m. the night before the evening. Something about being forced to read a book, I find, makes you feel like you're still at school. And hey, if we wanted to do homework, we'd go and take that evening class we keep promising we'll do when we get the time. So, I don't know, I was like sucked in with her humor before the story even started, and there was some great parts throughout the book. And apparently I found out from my Patreon group that it's very evil of me to, they didn't actually use those words, doggy ear library books, so sorry, but I do that. I also doggy ear my own books. So yes, okay, so I'm just like raving about the first half of the book. The second half of the book was what I think is probably a very typical romance book. I don't read them, so like I could have done without that. So I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. The first half is a 5-star book, and the second half is like a 2.5-star book or so, in my opinion. But it got me out of my reading slump, so that is worth something. Then, you guys, I finished Oathbringer, and this is only because of my Patreon group. We did 2 weekends in February where we did a page count reading challenge. You just set yourself a certain amount of pages that you want to read that weekend, and then you try to hit it. Whether or not you actually hit it, it really doesn't matter. It's just like a way to push yourself, and there's a lot of encouragement and people getting different book ideas, and it's a lot of fun. So the first time, I think I set the goal to read 400 pages. I was on page 400, I wanted to get to 800. And then I read a little bit more than 400 pages, and so I decided we're doing it again, and I'm gonna go from page 850 or wherever it was and finish this book up, and I did it. I would still be slogging here. So this is book 3 in the Stormlight archive. I can't really say anything about it. Obviously book 3 and like a lot happens. It is not a series for the faint of heart. You have to wait so long for things to happen, but Sanderson is building so many things behind the scenes that you can't even imagine. I probably would have quit this series already, honestly, if it weren't for my husband. This is his favorite series right now, and he's read it twice over. He pretty much like lapped me. I think he started the series again after me and has finished it already, and like, yeah. So I'm glad I've read it. It's more characters and a lot more back and forth between perspectives than I like and stuff, but I can still see Sanderson's brilliance even if I'm not loving it. But I did give the first 2 books like really high ratings. So my next one to read, I'm going to be reading the little novella that comes between these 2, between Oathbringer and Rhythm of War. I think it's called Dawn Shard. So I'm waiting for that to come from the library, and I'll read that, and then I will pick up the next big one. And then I have 2 books that I'm gonna put in the 2.5-star category. The first one is Amanda Gorman, Call Us What We Carry. And first of all, I want to give the librarian that put this, thankfully it's not from anywhere around where I live because I get my books from all over my province, but I want to give this librarian a very poor rating because they put the book in upside down, and it's like, it's taped, like it's taped all the way down. I've been very tempted to take the tape off, and like, it's not the book. If you can see inside of here, the book is the right way. It's just they put the dust jacket on wrong. So it makes me very confused when I'm holding this book, or it makes me look really dumb when I'm trying to read it. Anyway, this is all poetry that was obviously written close to the beginning of the pandemic slash like pretty much all of 2020, I think it kind of feels like. And obviously that was a weird time for all of us, but I just felt like this was so depressing. Yeah. So I didn't like it. And then I have Love Where You Live, How to Live Sent in the Place You Call Home. This was my book for the Read Your Bookshelf challenge. And it was disappointing because I felt like it was all about how to live sent where you are. But she had just moved somewhere. So as someone that would love to move somewhere, you're like, well, it's easy to say love this place right after you've moved there. But it's when you've never really moved that it can be the hardest. But also maybe it was just my February. Maybe it was lots of other things. I don't know. And I felt like she just kept repeating the same things. So I liked the concept of this book. A much better one that I haven't read for a few years but really enjoyed was The Art of Neighboring. I feel like I learned a ton more from that book than from this one. Okay, so that is like really all for the books that I read. But then I have a stack of DNFs. So if you're curious to know what books I did not finish, stick around. One of them, I'm trying to see here. One of them I read quite a bit of, and the other ones I just started and couldn't get into. So the first one is Death of a Gossip. This is the first in the Hamish Macbeth mystery series. Now, I have a pen pal that told me to read this, and I had forgotten that when she told me about it, that she said skip the first book, or the first book isn't worth much. Because I was gonna totally not read this series, because it's going pretty well, like it's a mystery out in Scotland. But then like there's a fairly graphic bedroom scene about halfway through, and I'm just like, okay, I'm done. But she says it gets better, and that is like I think maybe a one-time thing. So I'm going to get book 2 and try it, but I was very disappointed by book 1. Okay, and then, yeah, so I was going to try this one in March, Vancouver Nightmare. This is it must be like a YA, but it's so tiny, Canadian mystery series. I read the first chapter last night, the last day of February, and I just decided, you know what, no, I don't want to read this. It's too kiddish, and I just don't care to waste my time that way. This one is disappointing because I just bought this book. It is 5 Worlds, The Sand Warrior. And part of this, I think, is probably the fact that I so far struggle with graphic novels. Hopefully I can read one, finish one day. But I got my daughter to read it because I said, maybe you'll understand this more. She likes graphic novels. And she said, no, it was weird. And it was the friendship. They kept praising someone for being a good friend, but she really wasn't or something. So I'm going to get rid of this book. Then Every Heart a Doorway. I really wanted to read this series, but this is like so random because all of the books are really short, and I thought it'd be really cool to just like get through a series that's really short. But then I found out this is something to do, like, I think it has to do with people that are ghosts or from different worlds in a ghostly way. I read the first little bit and just decided, no. And then this one was really highly rated on Goodreads this last year. I don't know if it won the thriller category or whatever, but it was close. It's about a guy, I think an instructor, who steals the work of one of his students when his student dies, and then gets that work does really well. But I really did not like the writing. I think I only got the first page done. Oh, on the second page, because the writing, I was so confused. There was so much in brackets that didn't make any sense to me. And I couldn't get into that. And then Sundown Motel, I kind of wanted to try Simone St. James, and then I realized her books are all actually like ghostly kind of things, I think, so skip that one. I started Cocaine Blues. This is the Miss Fisher's murder series. I tried to watch this on whatever it's on, if there's a TV show as well, and couldn't get into that, and for some reason I don't know how far I read here. Not very far, but I don't think that Australian 1920s mysteries are for me. I thought this was Australian. Yeah, yep. I also started Local Woman Missing, and I don't remember the reason I quit this one, but I couldn't get into that one. And this was another recommendation from Gloria. She loved this one, and I also couldn't get into The Life We Bury. This is, yeah, I don't, oh yeah, it's about a, ooh, is this edition is so dirty. Is it supposed to be white? Ew. Okay, well, I don't want to touch this. Right, it was about a college student who wanted to interview someone for some project that he had to interview someone about some history thing, and he ends up interviewing a guy who is a convicted murderer, and that's as far as I got. I didn't really get into it. I also tried the Mitford murders, whew, because this is set in 1920s, and it seemed like the kind of thing I would like, and now I don't remember why I quit it, but I did. Now I'm kind of second guessing myself because I was definitely in a reading slump at the time, but I quit that one. And then I quit To Steal a Heart, even though so many of you told me this was going to be funny. She spent her childhood as a street thief, and then she thought she put her past behind her, etc. And I don't know. I don't know how to put these into Goodreads because I'm sure that I might actually like some of these if I wasn't in the reading slump that I had been in. And then The Good Sister. This one is Everyone Has a Dark Side. And I don't want to say a whole lot because I looked up the synopsis of this book afterwards, so I know way more than I would have if I would have stopped after the few pages that I read. So that just gives you a brief look at all the books that I tried and didn't get into, whether or not any of those maybe actually would appeal to me in a different reading phase of my, maybe they would. Yeah, so that is my wrap up for February. Here's to a great reading month in March. Let me know some of your favorites from the month of February, guys.